Jeff Van Gundy from the Mothership. NBA Saturday primetime on ABC continues March 5th. They've got the Rockets and the Bulls. Jeff calling the game with Mark Jackson and Mike Breen. They, of course, had a great seat for Oklahoma City and Golden State on Saturday night. And Jeff joins us now. Jeff, I said that was one of those timestamp moments that 5-10 years from now, I still think that people talk about. Do you remember that game that Steph Curry had against Oklahoma City? You get that feeling? Because it's not very often when you have that timestamp game for a player. You know, Jordan in the Garden against the Celtics when he put up 63. But I thought that was one of those Steph Curry moments, which is saying a whole lot because he's had a lot of moments here lately.
Oh, I agree with you because of just how the game played out. You know, they worked their way back from a deficit, and then for him to have such a great game and then cap it off with that shot in that situation on the road against another great team, that's a remarkable, remarkable game that I think most people who watched it will remember for quite some time.
All right. As a defensive-minded coach, what would you say to your players in the final 3.5 seconds there? You know who's getting it, but what can you do in a situation like that?
Well, I think it was a very interesting decision. When they rebounded the ball, most teams, with that little time remaining, take a timeout and advance it. The Warriors, Steve Kerr decides to let them play, and the only shot they're going to get at that moment is that type of shot. So it shows you just the audacity of not calling a timeout, knowing with that little time that's the type of shot you're going to get and that you're fine with it. And so if you're Oklahoma City, listen, you would have liked Robertson to pick up even higher, but he's so unique, Curry is, that when he pulls from that distance, you know, for most players, that's exactly what you would want, a heave. But it's not a heave for Curry. That's a rhythm shot. I don't know how he can shoot it so effortlessly from so deep.
How good is today's defense or defenses?
Well, I think the defenses are good, really good. I think the coaching is outstanding. I think the rules and the roster construction, those two R's, have impacted offense as much as the skill level of the players. So there's less physical contact allowed. The taking out of the hand check has been incredibly important to offenses. And then I think the other thing, the roster construction, putting more shooting on the floor, less bigs to clog the lane, and the use of the three-point line really have given space to these point guards that in other eras the point guards just didn't have that much space. So it's an incredible time to be a point guard in this league, and just like the NFL, everything is tilted in the offense's direction, and so you cannot allow yourself to get frustrated. You just got to keep playing every possession and do your best to take away what you can.
Oscar Robertson's comments to the Mothership last week, any validity?
By the way, Dan, when you say Mothership, I laugh to myself every time. I don't know what it means, but it cracks me up.
Well, you didn't work in the building. I worked in the building, so it was the Mothership. It's like it's the home base. It's the pod. Okay. The hive.
Makes me laugh.
Yes. I'm did Oscar Robertson have valid points in what he was saying about what Steph does now and wouldn't be able to do it back in the 70s?
No. I listen, there's no disputing Oscar Robertson is one of the great players of all time. The averaging of a triple-double, if you watched him live, which I remember doing as a kid, just an outstanding player and a force because of his strength and size. Steph Curry, in his era, in the Robertson era, even without the three-point line, with the less sophisticated defenses, even with the hand check, would have absolutely been as dominant then as he is today, if not more so. So, listen, no disputing Oscar Robertson's greatness, but no disputing also, in my mind, that it was an inaccurate comment.
You also, we're talking to Jeff Van Gundy from the Mothership of ESPN ABC, the analyst there. You had Phil Jackson, who tweeted out that he'd seen Steph Curry before. It's Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf, and everybody sort of went, Phil is dissing Steph Curry. And I'm saying if you saw Chris Jackson and even Mahmoud in his first couple of years in the league, he did play like that. He had a great handle, unbelievably quick release, and he had range. Now, is he as good as Steph? No. But in college, he was every bit what Steph Curry was in college. It was just, I think people looked at it and said, here's Phil dissing Steph Curry. How did you take that tweet by Phil, or did you see it?
I did see it.
Yeah.
Listen, until you get into a man's head, you don't know if it was to diminish somebody or just remind us just how good Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf was. And listen, the thing that separates Curry from me, it is the shooting off the dribble, but it's the handle to be able to get separation to get these shots off that makes him incredible. Listen, I don't think you can compare the two. Steph Curry is going to go down as one of the all-time greats. He's going to be a multiple-time MVP. He is going to be a multiple-time champion. To me, they could go on a 4 or 5 year dominant period where they win championships. But I think if Phil was not saying it to diminish him, I think what he's saying is, like, that's how Rauf tried to play and was very effective playing that way, particularly in college, not so much in the NBA. But I also think you forget how well-rounded Curry is compared to Rauf. Curry is a much better passer, much better defender, much bigger, and a much better rebounder. So, listen, it's not just the shooting that makes Curry special, although it's the focal point, but he is a great, great all-around player.
But if I said you could have LeBron for a series or Steph Curry for a series, 7-game series, who has more of an impact on that series, in your opinion?
Again, I think it goes back to roster construction. You got to tell me who's on. It's not just who those guys are.
Well, let's say a healthy Cleveland team right now and Golden State as they're assembled. Who is going to have more of an impact in that 7-game series? And we may see this in the NBA Finals again. But this time, Cleveland would have a healthy roster.
Well, I've always said without hesitation, James. But I'll tell you, I am starting to. I'm starting to sit here and ponder because this isn't Steph Curry from last year. You know what I mean? Like, we can't think of this as Steph Curry last year. This is Steph Curry this year.
Better.
And the level of improvement has been significant. And how often have we seen an MVP significantly improve going into the next year? Listen, when they were saying a Steph Curry most improved player in the league, you know, I thought that sounds good, but, you know, whatever. But listen, you'd have to really think about that. Wow. And I think it would be a significant vote if you voted that way, because it would just show you that even when you get to such a high level, you can still take another step. And so Steph Curry this year, compared to anybody in the league, I'm taking Steph Curry.
I mentioned the Bulls in mid-'90s with their length on the perimeter. If I have Rodman against Draymond Green, I know it's hard to compare, but it is fun to do it. Like I still take the Celtics of the mid-'80s and the Lakers of Showtime as better than Golden State, and I do like the Bulls with their length on the perimeter. You know, we forget about Mike was every bit what Steph is offensively, and he was also Defensive Player of the Year. He was first team All Defense 9 times. Pippen, great defender. Rodman, great defender. I don't know if you jump into that conversation or argument, but if I gave you those 4 teams, how would you rank them in order of greatness? Golden State this year, Bulls mid-'90s, Celtics, Lakers mid-'80s.
Well, I don't know how I'd rank them 1 through 4, but I think those 3 dynasties that you're talking about, you'd have to rank higher than the Golden State Warriors right now. But would Curry play really well against those teams? Absolutely, he would. Now, the rules, again, are different, and you have to decide which rules you're going to play under. It's not almost – it's like a different sport now. But I think, listen, what Jordan did to average 30 and do it in that offense where he was giving up the ball a lot, with the physical contact that was being made, and he didn't have like that much shooting. That's when they were playing a center and Rodman together, right?
Yeah.
So the floor is shrunk where there's very little room, and through the contact and through these great individual defenders and team defenses and the physical contact that he absorbed, it's the greatest thing I've ever seen accomplished. And the 55-point game coming off the baseball field 2 weeks later against our Knicks team to get 55 on the road after taking like a couple practice shots for 2 weeks is one of the great feats I've ever seen. So, listen, I don't think it's time yet to put this Warrior team in that discussion because they haven't had their full run like those teams did.
Yeah.
But Steph Curry would be great in any era.
But I can't imagine Jordan. If I had Showtime Lakers, you can't hand check, you can't body. I mean, good God, they'd run you out of the gym. Even the Celtics back then ran as well, Jeff. I mean, you can't put your hands on Bird, McHale, or Parrish. I mean,
well, and also like you got Kevin McHale coming off the bench. I mean, you know that's pretty significant. Dennis Johnson was a great defensive player. The Showtime Lakers in today's rules may have scored 160 a game. I don't know because I don't know what you would do with them. I mean, Magic and Scott, Michael Cooper coming off the bench with Kareem as your ultimate bailout in the post. Wow,
it'd be fun.
Listen. We're never seeing that again. Like that's why they're historically great teams. You're just not seeing that level of superstardom put together again.
Tell Brini and Mark Jackson we said hello, and it was a great listen on Saturday night. Thank you, Jeff.
I will carry on for the mothership, Dan.
Thank you, Jeff. That's Jeff Van Gundy. Coming up this Saturday night, it'll be the Rockets and the Bulls.